Prime, the most hyped sports drink ever, was always destined to fail. Logan Paul and KSI built a $1.2 billion empire, and now it's collapsing in front of everyone. Profits are down over 90%, suppliers are suing, and the lies keep piling up. But here's the twist. Prime didn't collapse because of taste, price, or even the lawsuits. It collapsed because of a billion-dollar mistake hiding in plain sight. The question is, what was that mistake, and how did two YouTubers convince millions of people to fight over colored water in plastic bottles? This isn't just the story of a failed drink, it's proof hype can build a billion-dollar business, but without fundamentals, it always collapses. And the lesson Prime ignored is the difference between a fleeting fad and a lasting brand. But to understand how Prime pulled off one of the most spectacular rise and falls in beverage history, we need to go back to where it all began. The year is 2022. The influencer economy is in full swing, TikTok is dominating youth culture, and two YouTubers who built their careers on manufactured drama are about to launch what appears to be the perfect product. Logan Paul and KSI had 50 million followers and a rivalry that broke the internet, but zero experience in beverages. Gatorade was built by scientists, Body Armor by nutritionists, and Prime, well, it was built by entertainers betting they could outhype the experts. And here's what most people missed. They were entering the single most competitive market in the beverage industry, sports drinks, against giants who had spent decades building unshakable positions. Their mindset was simple. We can beat Gatorade with influence, kids will buy anything with our faces on it, and if we aim high enough, we'll launch the first influencer-backed sports drink and make billions. However, instead of following conventional beverage industry wisdom, they made three decisions that seemed brilliant at the time, but contained the seeds of their own destruction. First, they partnered with Congo Brands, the company behind 3D energy drinks, while presenting Prime as if it was their own creation. Second, they launched with artificial scarcity, creating manufactured urgency instead of building sustainable demand. And thirdly, they positioned themselves against established giants without creating their own category. Behind the hype was a simple truth. Prime wasn't born in a lab or a locker room. It was repackaged from an existing energy drink and then positioned against Gatorade's 50-year head start. And that raises the question, if Prime was truly revolutionary, why hide who really made it? Marketing lesson number 1. When you can't win on substance, manufacture perception. Here's where Prime showed their strategy. They knew they couldn't compete on product innovation or quality, so they positioned Prime not as a better liquid, but as a better identity. The customer wasn't buying hydration, they were buying membership in Logan and KSI's world. Look at the design choices. Loud, YouTube-ready colors, Logan and KSI's pictures are front and center, packaging that looked more like a gaming skin than a sports drink. Every detail screamed this wasn't made for athletes, it was built for kids on the internet. The hydration category was a bit archaic. We saw an opportunity to make a great product that was a better for you product. Logan Paul in 2023. They literally designed a beverage brand based on the psychology of social signaling, and initially it worked exactly as planned. But creating buzz around rebranded energy drinks was just the start. Prime needed to establish itself as the must-have item for Gen Z. Instead of traditional advertising, Prime created a brilliant but dangerous strategy focused entirely on manufactured urgency. But here's the crucial part. They weren't creating real scarcity, they strategically engineered shortages to trigger what psychologists call loss aversion. Limited drops that sold out in minutes, strategic restocks timed with Logan and KSI's content, exclusive flavors available only during hype cycles, school bans that made Prime feel forbidden, and reseller markets where these bottles sold upwards of $50 each. Each of these tactics exploited teenage psychology. If everyone wants it and you can't have it, you want it even more. And the hype didn't stay online. Prime became the official sports drink of Arsenal FC and the UFC. Arsenal branded bottles sold out instantly and queues formed outside UK supermarkets. Even mainstream outlets like the BBC and Guardian reported chaotic sellouts, long lines, and school bans. Prime had broken out of Logan and KSI's bubble. It was now a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Marketing lesson number 2. Artificial scarcity creates real demand, temporarily. But here's what Prime discovered about manufactured urgency. It has an expiration date. When scarcity is artificial, eventually supply catches up with manufactured demand. In marketing, the illusion of exclusivity and scarcity works wonders. Controlled urgency. If you're hard to come by, if your time is limited, your stock automatically goes up, dia Poirier. The question is, what happens when the artificial becomes obvious? This brings us to Prime's most sophisticated and ultimately fatal strategy, identity-based consumption. Prime understood something that traditional beverage companies missed. Gen Z doesn't just buy products, they buy identity signals. Marketing lesson number 3. When products are commodities, sell identity transformation. While Gatorade focused on athletic performance and Powerade pushed hydration science, Prime was selling something entirely different: social status among kids who live online. The data reveals Prime's true strategy. It was marketed as a sports drink, but its real audience was teens and young adults. This wasn't about athletic performance, it was about social performance. And here's the marketing data from Prime. The real audience, 52.6% of KSI's fans and nearly half of Logan's fans are 18 to 24 years old, Prime's core buyers. The buying motivation, teams bought Prime to flex online, trading bottles at school and reselling them for $20 to $50 a bottle. The usage context, Prime appeared more in schools, cafeterias, and TikToks than in gyms. And finally, the premium pricing, Prime sold for over $3 a bottle in the US, 2 to 3 times that of Gatorade or Powerade. By 2023, Prime was generating over $1.2 billion in revenue and nearly triple the price of traditional sports drinks. This wasn't marketing, this was masterful psychology manipulation. Products are made in a factory, but brands are created in the mind, Walter Landor. But identity-based marketing has a fatal flaw. What happens when the identity shifts? What happens when the cultural moment passes? This brings us to Prime's billion-dollar strategic blunder, the mistake that doomed them from day one, breaking the law of category. If you can't be first, you must create a new category. Red Bull didn't compete with Coke or Pepsi, it invented the energy drink category and dominated it. Prime, by contrast, forced itself into the toughest category in beverages, sports drinks. Gatorade owned performance, Powerade owned hydration, Body Armor owned healthy, every angle was already taken. With no category of its own, Prime had nothing to stand on but celebrity hype. Marketing lesson number 4. Category kings are nearly impossible to dethrone. If you can't be first in a category, set up a new one you can be first in. Al Ray's and Jack Trout, advertising executives. Prime never created its own category. It tried to squeeze into one already owned by giants. For a while, hype disguised the mistake, creating the illusion of unstoppable momentum. But the real question is, how long can hype outrun strategic positioning? And by 2024, the answer became brutally clear: not long. The numbers told a devastating story that revealed the hollowness behind the hype. And here's Prime by the numbers. The UK sales dropped 70% in 2024, the profits collapsed 91.6% year over year, supplier lawsuits alleging inflated projections, Prime banned in many UK schools over health concerns, and the loss of 63.1 million euros in absolute value gain in 12 months, the largest drop of any food and drink brand in 2024. Refresco, Prime's bottler, sued for $67.7 million after Prime failed to meet its promised order volumes, leaving Refresco stuck with costly production built on hype-driven forecasts. Hype is the sugar high of marketing. It spikes fast and crashes hard if you don't have the substance to sustain it. Mark Ritson. By 2024, TikTokers who'd once fought over Prime were showing bottles collecting dust. Meanwhile, Gatorade continued its steady dominance without acknowledging Prime's existence. When you own a category, you don't need to respond to pretenders. Time eliminates them for you. Marketing lesson number 5. Hype-driven growth is unsustainable without category ownership. Prime violated the fundamental laws of marketing and built on hype instead of differentiation. The result? Collapse was only a matter of time. In a moment, we'll see where Prime is now, but before that, let's break down the 5 biggest lessons everyone can learn from Prime's extraordinary rise and fall. Lesson number 1. Artificial scarcity creates artificial demand. Manufactured urgency works in the short term, but creates unsustainable expectations that eventually collapse. Lesson number 2. Identity marketing requires authentic differentiation. You can't build lasting brands on borrowed credibility from celebrity endorsements alone. Lesson number 3. Category positioning beats celebrity positioning. Fighting established giants in their strongest market is strategic suicide without superior resources. Lesson number 4. Hype signals weakness, not strength. Excessive buzz often masks fundamental problems with the product or its positioning. And finally, lesson number 5, viral moments don't equal sustainable business models. Social media success doesn't automatically translate to long-term market viability. Today, Prime technically still exists, but it has become exactly what marketing theory predicted, a cautionary tale about confusing viral success with sustainable strategy. Fads are short-term. They hit like a wave, generate a lot of hype, saturate the market, and fade as quickly as they rose. Al Ray's and Jack Trout. In the end, Prime didn't fall for lack of hype, it drowned in it. They mistook noise for strategy and momentum for foundation, and in business, no matter how loud the moment, it's the fundamentals that decides who survives. Now, if you found value in this breakdown of Prime's billion-dollar rise and fall, hit that like button and subscribe to the Philosophy of Marketing. I've also put together a free guide called the 5 Hidden Marketing Laws Every Brand Breaks. It's short, sharp, and shows you how to build a brand people actually believe in, not just buy from. You can grab it for free in the link down below. And finally, remember, Prime proved the rule: you can't out-hype the fundamentals.